Welcome to a new year of Crash Chords Autographs. I, of course, am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. I'm so excited for my first guest of the new year. It's several gentlemen, actually. It is the hosts of the Dinosaur Machine Game Club podcast, Dan, Dave, and Mark. I've been wanting to have these three on for a while. I'm a huge fan of their podcast, which is essentially a book club, but with gaming, which is really cool. Before we get down to that interview and business in general, I do want to, of course, shout out my patrons who at the, I believe it's the $5 level, get a shout out on the episode, which I always do here in the intro. So much love to Rob, Robert, Robert, and MJ. God, I have a lot of R's in the intro. Well, you know, I can't complain, I suppose. Thank you, of course, for supporting me. If you'd like to get a shout out at the start of every episode of Autographs, you can go ahead and go to patreon.com/Stormageddon and contribute at the $5 or higher level to get that. Otherwise, just contributing at all at even the $1 or $3 level is, of course, very welcome, and I appreciate anything you can give, writing a review, subscribing, any of that. So thank you to those who are currently supporting, and I'm really excited to bring you guys the gents of the Dinosaur Machine Game Club podcast. So please enjoy this first episode with a guest of 2019.
You take a vitamin D, got +2 to skin protection.
That's not a bad way to look at it.
I think that's the way vitamins work. I think they help enzymes work better.
So if I could take the vitamin in the morning with the coffee, is what you're saying?
Probably. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to do it.
I mean,
long story short, you're overthinking the shit out of vitamins, dude.
All right. So, depending on where I've edited this episode and where we're coming in, you are listening to the charming banter of the folks of the Dinosaur Machines Game Club podcast. Thank you, Mark, Dave, and Dan for joining me.
Yay, thanks for having us.
Where you are the listener.
Where you are the listener. I have to say, as a fan of the show, there are a few things I want to say up front. So for those who don't know, their podcast is a video game podcast where it's essentially like a book club, but for video games, where they talk about the game they're going to play, they play it, they ask you to play it or just be interested in hearing about it, and then they talk about it in the following week, whatever those, and they have a schedule of games they play. As someone who's only played maybe a third of the games that you've covered, I've still enjoyed every single episode. And I think it's a testament to the dynamic conversation you have, as well as the pre and post amble of like general gaming stuff and then the trivial tastemaker. So, I guess the first question I have for you guys is, how did the structure of the podcast come to be? I know that you joke about a lost season, so I imagine there are some episodes that never aired as you experimented, but like, how did the original concept for this podcast come together?
I want Dave to start, and then we can continue.
Yeah.
Well, saying that because basically we've been playing games together for a long time.
Right.
And eventually we got to a point where it's like we kept suggesting games and I shot most things down because I got to a point where like I hate all games.
As opposed to now.
Yeah, which I still do.
Now he hates fewer games because better ones are coming out.
But yeah, so like we were like, okay, what can we do different other than, because we kept arguing over what the next game would be amongst the three of us. So eventually we all listened to, at least Mark and I, listened to gaming podcasts, and I'm putting you under the bus.
I don't listen to podcasts.
No, that's true.
Mm-hmm. But so we were just like, why don't we do it in this kind of structure, and then we kind of just filled in the gaps, and we did 6 test episodes that we learned through, which we will never release, and that's the last season.
Do you still have them?
I still have them.
Okay. I would not mind to listen. I would not mind to listen.
I guarantee you if we think we've come so far, I don't know how far we've actually come since then.
We could redo those games. That's also an option.
Yeah.
But the very first one we ever did was Party Hard, and I do want to play Party Hard too.
We could also
that could be a nice little thing. But then, so we were starting to do that, and then I don't know how the tastemaker... I think we were just trying to figure out things because we would have a conversation about the game, and that would last about 30-ish minutes. We were like, what else can we talk about? Just that we were thinking about news things, but then we were worried about like recording schedules. So then the tastemaker,
the first tastemaker,
Dave knows
was yours, because you decided to guess. This was during one of the Lost episodes. You were like, we're gonna play a game where we guess what Dan is doing, because this is the one and only episode so far that we've ever recorded without Dan.
Oh yeah,
right.
that's why I don't know this story.
We're gonna guess what Dan was doing. That he wasn't here.
That was a rough night for me when you guys recorded without. I had an emotional breakdown.
Oh,
like,
we noticed.
I had trouble. I was like, hey, what do you do without me? I don't understand. It doesn't work without me. I'm the third one.
Damn, I think that was one of the best podcasts we had.
I hate you both so much.
No one spoke over each other. It was a beautiful
conversation.
Boring. It sounds is what it is.
A question I've always had about the show as a listener is how you choose the games. Like, obviously, I assume there's some semblance of conversation about it, but I think more individually, if each of you could tell me a little bit about what is interesting to you about bringing a game on the show.
We try to lean on indie games.
Right.
We very scarcely pick AAA, but when we do, it's for a good reason. A good example of that is, even though it's considered indie, Hellblade.
Right.
That, and also what other game? Oh, Detroit Become Human. Like if those games are doing something really interesting, we'll pick those. But typically, we'll lean on indie games that we're just interested in. In general, maybe I'll pick it honestly because I like the art, and that's like as far as I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Partially because I also want to be surprised. Like, I don't want it to be always a game that's, this is a 97 on Metacritic. Like, maybe it needs to be a bad game sometimes. So I like that variety. That's me. That's how I think about, because we each pick 2 every episode. Typically, sometimes we'll barter about a game. It's like, all right, how about you pick Bad North this episode, this season, and I can pick this one. Like, we'll barter. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Sometimes that happens because we'll want 3. But then I'll delegate 1 out.
Well, sometimes like somebody's having trouble coming up with their second one,
right?
So it helps.
Yeah,
maybe just because of mood or whatever, what have you.
Yeah, like I think I'm definitely selfish with my picks. It's just like these are just games I want to play.
Right.
We do try to give a thought to, is there a conversation to be had about this game? And it's actually something we've been thinking about a lot this season. I know Dan especially was bringing up. It's like trying to really kind of venture out of our comfort zones and really try genres that maybe normally, like Bad North, I think is our first tower defense game I think we're going to do it like in a future episode. But at the same time, we kind of have that realization that it's like, well, if we don't want to pick games that we don't like and just start crapping all over them.
Right. Like
it's the real, but at the same time, I don't know, it is kind of a balance, but those are always, I actually think we should record those conversations, the bartering that goes on. It's like, you take this, then I'm going to take this. But then sometimes we just don't feel strongly about anything.
Right.
That is another way that kind of happens.
And that one usually doesn't get picked.
Well, I thought it was interesting the most recent season that Symphony of the Night was in there, because that one is not a new game. It just was re-released on PlayStation 4, but for the that's an older game. So I thought it was.
You guys told me that was brand new.
What the hell? I thought it was really cool and that you guys did an older game, because for the most part you've been pretty contemporary with stuff.
Yeah.
Is there? Are you guys planning on doing more of that? Choosing some older games?
We did do Super Metroid. Usually one of the kind of rules that we have in place is at least one of us has to have never played the game. Because if we're all speaking from the point of nostalgia, that, it's going to... Of course, everyone's going to love it.
Right. Yeah, if we picked Mega Man X, that'd be either the most boring episode, or it would just be like,
It would be total fanboyism.
Yeah.
Just like,
and what's your favorite shotgun?
I love beating Launch Octopus.
You ever do it without the special move?
Yeah.
It's hard.
That's interesting hearing you guys say that, though, because I do feel like I think we've done 4 retro episodes.
We did Parappa the Rapper, Metroid, Castlevania, and I can't think of the fourth one.
We did. What's it called? It was kind of old. We did Parappa. You said
Psychonauts.
Yeah.
Psychonauts.
Is old.
Yeah. And I think that is a fun thing we try to explore in those episodes. Is really kind of especially nostalgia is such a huge thing in gaming.
Yeah.
Everything is the best and the worst, and everything back in the day was the best. Yeah. Everything is garbage today.
Everyone becomes a comic book guy from the
Yeah, exactly.
Worst thing ever. But I don't know, like that is one thing I think I've definitely learned over the course of the podcast is just really appreciating what's coming out now and looking back at a lot of those games that we played for as retro pods. Like I could see why, especially for the time period. That's why we always do. It's like, let's put ourselves in the year. Let's talk about the things that came out that year. But I don't know. This might be just, and I know Dave definitely disagrees with this, but like I really feel like you can appreciate them from where they came out and what was, what they, in terms of the trail that they blazed. But at the same time, like I always think games that are coming out, like I said on the podcast, like this is the golden age, the year we're living in. It's like always the newest year I always feel is the best year because there's so much variety. Everything is such a high quality. You can appreciate what came from before, but I don't know. Like I feel if it was really tested to put those retro games versus games we've played on the podcast, like huge games, just indie games. I think the stuff we've played is better. And that's just me though.
Yeah, I think it comes from nostalgia has to work into it. Also, it's hard to review older stuff. I used to do a music podcast, and like for a while, we let guests bring any album, like old, new, and like someone brought on a older Beastie Boys record, and the guest himself is an indie rapper, and like my co-host said, your album's better than this Beastie Boys record. And the rest of us were like, including the guest, was like, what? What, are you crazy? But the reality was he wasn't terribly wrong because technically, on a technical level, that album was produced well, but the newer album is produced better just based on technology alone. And so comparing it is sometimes apples and oranges because like Symphony of the Night, for what it was, for example, was incredible graphically and soundtrack wise and all of that at the time. But
is incredible.
But well, it is now too. But there are games that can do that more easily than Symphony of the Night did. Like because like a game like Symphony of the Night now is an indie game, whereas back then it was a AAA title. It was a huge release, and I think it comes from how gaming has changed over the years. The next thing I actually wanted to ask is to get a little bit about your gaming history. Like, I mostly know Dan's just from knowing Dan, but
no, I'm very mysterious.
You're very mysterious. But like, so for example, for me, I've been playing video games since I could hold a controller. My first console was an Atari 2600 and an NES.
What'd you play on the 2600?
So I played Mousetrap. I played Miss Pac-Man. I had the Superman game, but I never knew how it worked or understood it.
Okay.
I owned at one point, I don't anymore, the E.T. game. I had the E.T. game.
That's too bad he lost that.
So take in the desert for more.
But so I've been playing games for a very long time. I'm curious, but I know tons of people who are super into gaming now who've only been playing for a decade or so. So like, I'm curious where your gaming history comes from, your gaming pedigree, as it were.
Well, I'm not going to start because you already know mine.
I'll give it to Dave.
I mean, I started on the 2600 too. Like that, and I think Mark probably might agree with this. Is that in Video Smarts?
What? Video Smart
Wow.
with the 4 buttons.
I remember
this baby
that.
console.
Yeah.
It had like 4 buttons on it.
Oh no.
But like I remember playing that. It had a videotape that went along.
Oh, you realize like those thoughts you don't have for 15 years, and then someone puts in your head, you're like, "Whoa!"
It was the crazy. It was this toy that like even if you left it on, it would speak and it would be like, "Turn me off."
Like a little creepy.
Oh, you told a story about this once.
Yeah,
it scared my mom once. She freaked out because it was like dark in the room. Anyway,
but I've been playing video games since I remember my favorite game when I was a youngin' was Air Sea Battle, which is nothing basically. A rip off of Space Invaders, but with more versus modes. And then I used to play that and like the Donkey Kong.
Of course, sure. Classics.
Pac-Man. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, like, gaming was always a cornerstone, but that's actually like Dave and I are cousins, and like that was our common bond growing up. Like that was the thing we did together that we were always down to do.
We didn't fight during.
As
long as possible.
Yeah, and like when I would go to Dave's house, like as a kid, like he had the Atari. Like I remember playing that, but I was like, this is. I got a Nintendo when I was a kid, but I didn't think I really. What?
I was gonna say, I think your specific revelation
The holy
with
trifecta.
the Super Nintendo.
That's right.
Yeah.
So like that was when I really got into gaming. And the trifecta, as I always think of it, is Super Mario RPG,
Right.
Chrono Trigger,
Yep.
Earthbound.
You are correct. That, in fact, was the correct answer.
Exactly. Like, I played through those 3 games. I can't even imagine. Which, it's funny because then as we kind of talk about like retro gaming and stuff like that, like there's so many classic Nintendo franchises I never really touched. Never played a Zelda.
You were just too busy playing those.
I was just playing those
So,
3
so
games.
busy waiting for your turn in Mario RPG or
Yeah, and like never really played Mario.
Oh, this kid
really,
knows
or
about
Mario,
Time
however we
Hits.
pronounce it. And then after that, I actually remember distinctly because I think it was this summer, and it was like when N64 and PlayStation were coming out, and I knew it could get one of them.
Right.
And I was, because of the Super NES, was big Nintendo, reading Nintendo Power, and I was just like, I gotta get an N64. This is it. This is totally it. And I remember I was an altar server in like the back of the church, talking video games with some kids, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get an N64 because it's got no loading times. And then this other kid told me, I remember this very distinctly, yes, it does. It just doesn't say now loading. It's stupid. And because of that kid, I got a PlayStation.
Well, that kid was dumb, in
Well,
my opinion.
Now 20 years later with my PlayStation tattoo,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for that kid, I wonder how my gaming experience has grown. Because then Nintendo was always the thing I would go to Dave's house for.
Right.
So we play GoldenEye and Perfect Dark until our eyes bled. And... Super Mario 64 and those wrestling games that used to come out then.
Oh,
Oh,
we used
yes.
to play those. What was that?
So there
The gaming house.
was WCW versus NWO versus World, and then there was
Yeah, World Tour,
and there was World Tour
Revenge.
and Revenge.
But what was the name of the developers who made it?
Oh, THQ. It was THQ.
THQ. Thank you.
Was it
Yeah.
THQ?
It was
Look at that.
THQ. Yep.
Now living
There was
on as a Nordic
in
company.
World Tour, there was even THQ Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
there
one of my
was.
favorite people to play as.
My favorite thing about those games was how your thumbs would feel like they're going to die as you grapple. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're
you're just mashing buttons. Yeah, I remember then they split off to the WWE games and they did like No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, and these games were all the same. They had different skins essentially.
They had slightly better graphics, and I think when it came to No Mercy, may have been the first time that you were able to create a character in that game.
Yeah, and there were entrance
so.
music. There was entrance music and like an entrance theme that would play.
I'm
That
just thinking like that blew my mind as a kid. Blew it.
Yeah.
Probably like now, huge pile of trash.
It's probably the best game ever, Mark. It was
So what
the best.
about you, Dan? What was your beginnings?
Oh, my sister and I had a Nintendo. I don't remember playing Atari. I don't think I'm.
But
I think we're all a little older than you, Dan.
Oh.
Mark's exactly my age.
Oh, all
Am
right.
I? Oh yeah.
They're born on the same day at the same time.
We
High
looked at
fives
each other
coming
and high
out.
fives right at you. Exactly. That's good. Just have the same
Nice.
joke as me. That's all right.
But Dan, as I recall, you've always been a Nintendo fan, though. Like,
No,
Really?
I was gonna. No, you see, you thought you knew me. You don't know me.
Trails.
Had a
me wrong.
Nintendo, got the Genesis, went from the
Oh, right.
Genesis to the Saturn.
Mhm.
Had a Game Boy though the whole time. I've
Yeah.
always had. I started with the Game Boy Pocket, and then I got the Game Boy Color. So I've always had the Nintendo portables. I missed out on the fat Game Boy. I had a Game Gear. That was the worst. I have it still. The thing
What
takes
kind of
6
Game
AA
Gear?
batteries.
I did have a Game Gear.
It took so many batteries, and it had like 2 hours of battery life.
Yeah. Although
beautiful.
I do have, when I went to Japan, I got this thing called the Retro Freak that plays Game Gear games. So
Oh, that's cool.
back in the game.
But why would you spend your time realistically playing? It's like it's like you have it just in case. It's like why? Why
It's
would you
good to
spend your
know
time?
that I could try it out.
I guess
Just
so.
like, how was this game? Because if it's on Game Gear, I'm not gonna fire that thing up. I'm gonna like sneeze and drop a battery out of the back because I'm missing the battery covers. So then I had the Saturn, then I got the Dreamcast, and I have always played Nintendo
What
games.
games did you like on those systems?
Oh, I don't.
I'm hearing systems, no games.
All right.
Nice.
All right. I mean, Nintendo was Zelda and Mario. Duck Hunt.
Obviously.
My sister and I would play that. The Turtles game was amazing. I would play as far as I can get to
The
the
arcade
van.
game or
No.
the one where you swim?
The terrible
The
one.
one, the bad one.
The one where no one could get past the dam level, where
I
you're
remember
disarming
that
bombs.
I remember that jump, and I remember thinking, "All right, I guess I'm not good at this game," and then just moving on with my life.
Guess I have no talent.
But I would play that as far as the van. Mega Man games, always Mega
Right.
Man games. I would rent those like crazy. I never beat Zelda. Still have to beat that first one. And
see, like, why bother at this point?
why not?
It's the experience.
Like, I can.
But it's so, like, obtuse. It's like, you gotta bomb here, maybe, and you get through.
You don't know the fun. You don't.
I can imagine.
From a man who plays a lot of RPGs, your patience has drawn yourself very thin.
Well, it's it's just as we get older now, and like
Dark Souls, just like you need the help of other people to guide you.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because, like, right now I'm playing Hollow Knight, and
I love that.
Yeah, how far are you?
It's
driving me nuts.
It's. I think I'm like the 5th area.
Yeah.
You're
and
farther than me.
like, and I hate saying like, oh, this is like Dark Soulsian.
I mean, it is though.
It is though, and it kind of just shows that kind of format, how it's really kind of really spread its influence out. But like, I am hitting these moments because it's like you're going through this labyrinth for each section, trying to find the guy who will give you the map.
Right.
And until then, it's just like, where am I going?
Yeah.
What is happening? I just don't like, and I think this is just my impatience now. It's like, for the time that I have the game every day, I want to feel like, yes, I progressed, did something tonight. Because if I don't, I remember, especially the night before, there was one particular, like, it wasn't even a boss, it was like a sub boss that I kept dying at, and you lose your little soul guy in that one, you have to get back. And I was like, oh, I can't go to bed until I get that, because then at least I can say I did this tonight. And it's like 11:30, and I have to be up in like 5 hours, and like hate everything about this. That's how those old games are. I feel it's like the difficulty for a lot of them, not all of them, I should paint with such a broad brush, but a lot of those old games substituted kind of the length of play with difficulty. Well, this is not interesting.
You bring up an interesting point that I've noticed with modern gaming is like, so for example, I'm playing Persona 5 right now. I just started it.
Woo!
And I really love it, but I'm having trouble staying focused on it. Meanwhile, I had enough gold coins, gold points, whatever they're called on the Switch to get Okami HD whole hog, and I'd never played it. And so I downloaded that. I played Okami for 10 minutes, and then it's like Persona didn't exist anymore. Because I felt like I was making more accomplishments faster, because it's a Zelda-esque game where it's like, here's a task, go to this dungeon, go do this thing. And that was more interesting for me. Whereas with Persona 5, it's like each day, and then you have to go to bed, and then you're trying to... And, like, the story drags as far as figuring out why things are happening. And so, like, I feel like certain older games, if you're in it for, like, the haptic feedback of doing the thing, then it's probably more rewarding. But for story beats, like, there are not really any story beats in Zelda. It's just...
And that's kind of like why I think Overwatch definitely for Dave, and for me, it's just stuck around because it's just that constant dopamine hit of every time you're like, I'm in a match, oh, I got a kill, that feels good.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, well, there's just the next match. Like,
and then if you're going a 12-game losing streak, what then, Mark?
And then you just go, and then you hit it.
Despair.
You go to bed into a well of tears.
You take a Post-it and you just write, stop playing this, and you put it on the game, and then next time you pick it up, it's like, I remember when I wrote this.
I respect you, past Mark, and I respect your emotions.
That's how I got out of Destiny.
I
just believed the Post-it. I was like, this is it for me. I have to be done with this.
It's a good game.
Anthem, we're all excited.
Yeah, I am very... I actually got to play... I can't talk about it in detail on the podcast as this is a public forum, but I was in the closed alpha for it, and it was...
Dan stonewalled us as well, and we're just
I
like...
did.
Right.
I'm not even gonna let you finish your statement, because I think any opinion at all is breaking the NDA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all I'll say is it's definitely more fun than Destiny 2 at this moment. But that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
because
Destiny 2 could be as fun as a piece of turd, or as fun as Spider-Man 4.
Well, I mean, no. Spider-Man 4 is way better.
PS4.
Spider-Man PS4 is better than most games that came out this year, but that's besides the point.
I would agree with this.
But I would say for Destiny 2, for me, I really wanted to love it, and I did for a while, but that game is so dependent on the people you're playing with, and the people I played with jumped ship pretty quick. That then I was like, well, this isn't fun by myself. They
went to PC, if I recall.
Yeah, and so I played on PC for a while, and then I stopped, and then Monster Hunter World came out, and I played that for a while, and then people stopped playing that. Like, I don't have the MMO stamina that I used to, where I could just grind shit out by myself. Like, I want to play with friends, or I'll go play a single player game elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. There's certain games that just like you're saying, Destiny is not very enjoyable by yourself. and then like I need the game to at least have a similar amount of fun factor while I'm playing single or multi for me to continue with it.
Right.
You know, like Overwatch, I can have that much enjoyment playing by myself.
Right.
See, I think that's interesting too. That community mentality that's the last 10 years or so, and how that even kind of plays with systems. Like so many people from the 360 group jump to PS4, and it turns into that thing.
I'm one of those people. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, I'm going to go where my friends are going, and how there really isn't kind of that. You think of probably all the marketing research, which it's like product loyalty. No, it's just like, where are your friends? That's where you're going to
every group
migrate
to. What is that term that they use for like some social? No, you.
I got nothing. Sorry.
You're crushing it. You're crushing it. Now take it home, baby.
No, I'm saying like you're not. Like a trendsetter. Like every group has their own trendsetter.
A tastemaker?
A tastemaker.
Stop making the jokes.
Call back.
We're on the same page now.
But also, like, I feel like I can compare to like the kinds of games that me and Dan played together was all couch co-op back in the day when me and Dan got to see a lot more of each other back in the day. It was often couch co-op. We rarely played games online together. Except for MMOs, those we would play online together. But like any other game, it was always local. Whereas now every console, with the exception of the Switch maybe, is all online based. Like there's so minimal local co-op. It's one of the reasons I bought a Switch, I bought Smash Brothers, I bought Mario Kart, is because all of those games have co-op.
Couch available?
Couch available co-op. And online, although that part is questionable.
I do wonder when you especially think about, like, I think for games that are kind of like there's a set screen and you have multiple characters going on that screen, like that's one thing for couch co-op. But like just for a lot of thinking of like things like Perfect Dark and GoldenEye, things like that.
Split screen?
I wonder even how feasible that is, because now you're talking about you have to render that world twice, for each point of view. Like I wonder even if it's something that's actually a lot harder than we think it would be.
Yeah, but I feel like if you can do it on previous hardware, you can do it on current hardware.
Well, you could play Borderlands split screen.
That's true.
Yeah, but also then when we're thinking about like all these nice, beautiful television sets, do you want to really look at only a corner of a screen?
It's so big.
It's so
bigger than what we played on before.
There's more pixels now, Mark.
Oh, but is it? There are more pixels.
Just like closer.
See, I even think couch co-op is one of those things that is a little nostalgia driven. Like, we played. When was the last time the three of us sat down and played? Was that like when we played Crawl?
Mario Party.
No, we played.
We played Mario Party,
and I won, baby.
Nice. Carry that torch.
I'm still a little annoyed with the stupid. You could buy a star anyway.
Maybe you
should buy a star. No, you cannot be annoyed about buying stars because you've been able to do that since Mario Party 1.
No, they lowered the price by half.
Oh, really?
But a little.
So it's the money that you get throughout the game is also halved. So it's kind of similar.
So the scale is the same.
But nonetheless, like I feel there is that kind of sense. Like I even wonder, it's like if we could play Overwatch in the same room. I don't know.
I think the nostalgia for me with couch co-op comes from how much fun couch co-op is.
Right, like it's the people fun. You're in the room with. Yeah,
it's the banter and stuff. But like we do
get
that
a pizza and hang out. And
like the perfect example is like Smash Brothers. Like Dan and my mutual friend Andrew would always play Snake and just place remote mines on people and blow them up, and like that's all he did, and it was hilarious. To those not getting blown up. That sounds like an
Andrew move.
Yeah.
I fired up Snake in the game the other day, and I actually, it clicked, and I was like, oh, I used to play Snake all the time.
Yeah.
Oh. And I remembered everything.
But, like, those moments and those trash-talking moments, especially for, like, Smash Brothers for me, always felt better in the same room. Like, I'm sure if the four of us played Smash Brothers over Discord and were chatting together while playing online, it'd be similar. But I don't know that it would be the exact same experience as all being in the room.
I would still threaten Dave with physical harm in Smash Brothers in boys.
Dave would dismissingly.
We're gonna hang out soon. I'm gonna probably make it so we all play, and I'll probably tell Mark, like, if you win, I'll just stab you. Okay.
I think we all know how that's going to turn out, Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to stab you.
All these claims.
So what's going to happen is you're going to win, and I'm going to have to stab you.
I guarantee you, if we play Smash Brothers this weekend, Mark is going to win 0 matches.
No, you see, this is bad. No, I don't need your, like, listen, I suck at video games. That's
not what it is. It's just I know where my strengths are, and it's not Super Smash Brothers.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Dave's staying quiet because Dave's been playing, like, a lot of
Dave exactly knows it. He knows exactly how this is going to turn out.
I mean, I don't want to sound cocky.
But so, all right, well, let me ask, since we're chatting about Smash Brothers a little bit, since that just came out as of when we're recording this, do you all have main characters that you prefer to play? Like, for me, I like the large, slow characters. So Donkey Kong, King DDD, King K. Rool, like, those are my favorite kinds of character. Bowser is so much better in the new Smash Brothers than he's ever been before. Because he can move.
Mark, what's your opinion?
I have not. I don't know.
Switch. Mark's history of Smash is to play Captain Falcon.
Exactly. Yeah. I know my golden age of Smash was college and 64 Smash. We even had Melee. Melee had been out by a while by that point. It was just like, well, we're going to play the old Smash.
Many would say you are a purist.
It wasn't by choice.
you are a purist.
But yeah, Falcon, and when Marth was available, I liked Marth. I would say.
Okay. Because his name's
I want to play Cloud because I like him as a person.
He's fun to play. I don't know that I'd say he's good, but he's fun.
But I'll tell you right now, Joker comes out.
Oh yeah.
I will make him my main.
Buy a Switch.
Yeah. You should buy a Switch.
Wait. Mark, why won't you buy a Switch, Mark?
Because it doesn't have an achievement system.
I know.
Wow, really? So
I want to write one with Dave. I want to make like an achievement system for the Switch with Dave, so he just gets that.
See, that's what he did. But like Steam has one, and for some reason that still doesn't drive me to like play PC games as much.
Do you think you would play less games if the trophy and achievement center just went away?
And I knew about, like, I had it, and then it went away.
If they just take it out, like, it becomes
illegal. Like, PS5 comes out, and they're like, we're dropping the trophy system.
I mean, I hope not. I can't answer that definitively, quite frankly.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because, like, on the 360, I was an achievement whore. Like, I needed every achievement. I bought some of the Lego games just 100% them.
You were one of them.
But I liked the Lego games. As well. But
but like just the idea, it's like you buy games, not even necessarily like want to play it.
Yeah.
But like it's like the achievements.
Well, at the time, I could blame my girlfriend at the time because she really liked those games. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll play with you. And then I'm staying up getting all the achievements. But once I moved to the PS4, I stopped caring, and I couldn't even tell you why. I just stopped caring about trophies.
Because it reset your progress.
I guess so. Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah.
You're like, what is the point?
Yeah.
This isn't a true representation of my abilities as a gamer.
See, what's interesting about because as I'm thinking, like, I think for next, like, we're guessing what 2020 will be the new systems. Like, I'm probably, I'm going to get a PS5.
Right.
But with Microsoft buying all these new studios, I'm sure, and some of them are really companies that I'm interested in. Like, I'm probably going to want to play those games. I'm not going to buy an Xbox for it, but I'll probably play them on the PC because I can.
Right.
And if I can get achievements there, like now I'm getting achievement points, there is, for whatever reason, that is very alluring to me. I don't know why. That seems interesting.
It's the sound, like you said.
It's even that. That's like
feels good when it pops.
Well, I mean, it is kind of like a Pavlov's dog kind of thing. Like, it's you're being acknowledged for something you did, and that's like, oh, hey, cool, I did that thing. Like I remember back in the early PS3 and Xbox 360 days, there were a ton of different websites that allowed you to link your Facebook to your gamer tag, so it would auto post on your Facebook when you got achievements. And like I busted my ass to find those kinds of programs because I wanted like people to tell me how great I am for getting this weird achievement on this game. But I think now I've hit a point where like all I care about is how much I enjoy the game. It doesn't even necessarily matter how good the game is. Like I've played a ton of mediocre games that I still had fun playing. Like
what's the most mediocre game you've had fun playing?
Mediocre?
I would say in the far-flung past, it was the Green Lantern game that came out around the same time as the movie. The game.
Because didn't that have? No, I might be thinking. Isn't it have like the Batman combat?
No, it didn't.
I'm thinking of Captain America.
That would have made it a less than mediocre game,
Yeah.
I think.
I liked it because it was a classic beat 'em up style game, but at the end of the day, like it did nothing for me as a Green Lantern game. I just thought it was okay. Or even more recently, Kirby Star Allies is a fun Kirby game, but is by no means a great one because it's the same game as the last 4 games. But I like Kirby, so I had fun, you know, that kind of a thing. Are there any games that I hate the term guilty pleasure because you shouldn't feel bad about liking something, but like, are there games that you've played not that long ago, within like the last decade, I guess, that you'd say wasn't particularly well received, but that you really enjoyed?
Oh, yeah. I have a couple.
I don't know what immediately comes to mind.
Go ahead, because I don't have...
A Lollipop Chainsaw.
Really? See, and I never got to play that.
That was negatively...
It's not good. It's really not that good.
Yeah.
But the music's really good.
Uh-huh.
And it's... The mechanics of it are so kind of clunky. It's like easy, but it's sad. Like when... I don't even remember her name. Juliet something. Whatever.
Yeah.
Blonde girl, cheerleader. When she does like a cartwheel, there's like a move you can do a cartwheel and you can just lop heads and like it bursts into rainbows. And it's just like, and with the vibration of the controls, like it was such a good feedback. I ended up platinum in that game, and literally the whole time I'm playing, I'm like, this really isn't that good, but I'm having a great time doing this. And I think the other biggest thing is like Overwatch by this point was 2-3 years now at this point.
Oh.
Like definitely of the hundreds and hundreds of games I've played in my life, definitely the one I've played the longest.
Yeah.
Like in terms of just hours, and it's just like, what am I really getting out of it at this point? But
awesome costumes and emotes.
Literally, it's just that.
Bro.
It turns into that's like the benchmark if I'm playing a game, and it's like, do I want to play this game or do I want to play Overwatch? If I want to play Overwatch, it tells me the game's not good.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That's actually a pretty good barometer.
Overwatch became your litmus for bad games.
It's just because it's solid.
Yeah.
It's just so solid in like every way.
Okay. No, but I mean that's the same for me with Heroes of the Storm. Like I always go back to Heroes of the Storm because it's just fun to play, and it's League of Legends for dummies, and I'm a dummy. So like that if I am choosing to play whatever new game I got over that, then I'm like, oh, this game must be good.
It's your Heroes,
right? But once I go back to Heroes, I'm like, I guess this other game I've lost interest in because I'm playing Heroes of the Storm again.
So, are you bummed that they're not doing the East?
They basically fired the entire team.
Yeah.
It sucks, I think, more for the players and the people who were sponsored and the people who are making some sort of pseudo living or like getting something out of it. Like from a game design perspective, they're not going to drop this game. This game is still a huge hit that makes money for them. So I think they're scaling back the design, but they'll probably still be putting out new heroes and new stages. I think it'll just be slower going, but it definitely sucks. It feels like they've lost faith in this game that seems to still be doing okay.
Well,
what were we going to say?
I think, I don't know if it's the Heroes of the Storm is doing poorly. I think it's doing significantly more poorly than Overwatch is doing.
Right.
So it's just they were like, you know what, esports, Blizzard, Overwatch. Like they just want that to be the equation. In my assumption. I don't know.
And that was just making me think like, what I think is interesting about Blizzard is that all their games aren't like just a game you play and you kind of walk away. They're all like living games.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this Hearthstone, Overwatch,
Diablo.
Warcraft, Diablo, and like the new one that's coming out of the phone thing. Although I don't know if they're exactly making it.
They all have end games that like never end.
They never end, and it's like with this kind of loop that you're kind of constantly, and that's why you're keeping in the system. They're still making money off you, hopefully, if you're buying things.
Right.
But I just wonder at a certain point, it's like how many of those games can you have until you're sort of like you're spread too thin?
You can't
make it.
That's why I'm not excited for Anthem, not because of the game itself, but for what it represents and for what it means for my schedule. That's what I'm like.
I mean, I won't completely agree with that, but like I agree with the mentality. I was telling a friend of mine, Brian, who Dan knows, that I don't know that I like MMOs anymore. I think I like playing them with my friends because that's always fun. Like I just went back to the Old Republic recently because a bunch of friends of mine on the podcast network I'm on wanted to play again.
Oh my god, does that still work? That's still out. It still works.
And if you had a security device, you earn cartel credits since the day you bought the game. So like you can go back and buy a bunch of the stuff to make it more playable for free.
So random fun fact, I have a 60-day card for that game that I never put in. So I could at any time play for 2 months.
If you want to join us,
we welcome. I don't, but I feel bad that I bought this.
Isn't that
and
like
never used it.
the Danish sentence he said?
That is
I bought this.
I bought this game, but I've never played it.
Oh no, I played the game.
Just
I
not
have
the
card.
Yeah, just the time card that I never used.
I spent money that I never used.
But like the sentiment of like the time of the MMO is coming to an end. I feel like that's kind of true. Like WoW is pretty much only moving under its own inertia at this point. It's still continuing to make expansions because people are buying them, but it's not as successful as this was. Its numbers are the lowest they've ever been, but no other MMO really has long-term traction. And the newer MMOs that are coming out are Monster Hunter World, Anthem, Destiny, ones that have no online subscription. That have
I don't like to call those MMOs.
Yeah, me neither.
All right.
Games as service.
They're not massive. They're not massive.
The concept of the WoW, the scale between WoW and Destiny are more similar than the scale between WoW and
but
Monster
only
Hunter.
in those social zones are you going to run into more than like 6 other players.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, you're absolutely right. I think I lumped them together just because it's the online multiplayer aspect.
No, it's not just you; it's everyone. But it irks me. I'm like, it's not massive.
Well, I think those games are clearly an evolution from that time.
Yeah, I think so.
But to
too.
get to the point,
team where like, or you're earning loot, and that kind of defines your character.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think you're definitely right. And we kind of talked about this on the podcast too. It's like there's only so much oxygen in the room for all these games. Like, you can't just dabble in it. You got to commit.
I mean,
really get the most out of it.
There's a lot of comments being made about Fortnite like killing other game industries just because people stay in that universe and never leave.
Yeah,
but you know what? Like,
but that was World of Warcraft when it first came out also, and they said the same thing about that. Like, I see Fortnite and all battle royales as just the next hip gaming trend that will eventually just become part of the norm. I don't think it'll go anywhere, but I don't think it's going to kill any of the industry. Yeah. I don't see that happening.
Well, I just think it's sort of like, among my like students, like that's all they do. And
right,
it's,
of course.
Power to them at this, zero, entry, kind of just getting into it, getting engrossed in that world. Like I probably think like Fortnite's probably going to turn into like the Minecraft where
there will be fatigue.
Yeah, like it will always be around, and there will always be a lot of people playing it, but eventually it will just fall out of the zeitgeist about like things we talk about.
Also, like eventually. Back in the day when I used to work at a game store that will remain nameless, GameStop. I used to judge people who came in and just bought Madden and Call of Duty. And then I realized they became what I hated. Because, like, don't judge people for what they want to play. Let them play whatever damn games they want. And I get a sense of that with Fortnite now. I don't get it. I don't like it.
Dan for loving Weezer.
I'm fresh on that SNL thing, man. People have been coming at me left and right.
I like Weezer, too, so watch it.
And he likes Weezer. He just doesn't like Weezer now.
That's not true.
Not you, Dave.
Oh, okay. Got it. I was going to say.
I think they could have stopped after Make Believe.
I can't stop.
They could have stopped.
At least you go that far. Some people don't go as far.
I think Everything Is All Right in the End was a really great album and a return to form. I think everything between Ratitude and that was garbage, but like that album was really good. I haven't heard the White Album, but I hear it's good.
There's a White Album?
There's
the White Album, and then Pacific Daydream, and then the Black Album's coming out in March. Don't even.
Oh, so I'm behind. Yeah,
man. Next contender.
A question I wanted to ask about Dinosaur Machines actually is how you came up with the name. First of all, I just want to say, please shout out the person who designed your logo because I love your logo.
Will Pope, yeah.
The fourth Dinosaur Machine.
Yeah, he's the best.
I love that logo, and like I remember when Dan first posted it, I the first thing I thought was, "What the hell is this?" And then was interested. But how did you come up with the name Dinosaur Machines?
I think it's Dave. I think
this is all Dave because we had nothing to do with this. He just decided it.
There's a couple of things here at work. We were looking for a group name that was comprised of our names,
Right.
our initials. Like we only have between Dan, Dave, and Mark. We only really have 2 letters,
Right.
DM.
DM.
Right. That's why in our group name for our gang in GTA was the Mages and the Mages.
I forgot about that. Oh,
The Mages of Danger,
Mages
just so
of
we can have
Danger.
DDM.
Yeah.
we should bring that back. It's good.
I had come up with it because there were a couple of things that work. Like I said, there was a period of time where Mark and I added dinosaur and machine to lots of sentences.
I remember you guys mentioning that.
This is when I showed up. They were just like saying, "What's up, machine?" And I was like, "This is guys, are you having a stroke over 3
Did you remember to bring the bread machine?" Like stupid things like that.
I'm like, it's called an oven.
And so we were doing that, and also I was a little inspired by a friend of mine's poem from high school that she had named Dinosaur Pajamas.
Literally, I've never heard this before.
This is new.
Ever.
And it always stuck with us because I was in the poetry club in high school, and we had discussed
Sorry, didn't mean to laugh
we
at
had
your
discussed
poetry.
the meaning of dinosaur pajamas. Like, is it pajamas meant for a dinosaur, or are they pajamas with dinosaurs on them?
Oh, so dinosaur machine. Is it a machine meant for dinosaurs or a dinosaur?
An old machine.
Or an old machine.
Yeah. It's an obscure as hell title, and we're real smart for it.
We feel real good about it.
Well, I mean, it's memorable.
Yeah, and I wanted to, like, when we were coming up with what a logo was, I had pitched to them and Will that I wanted it to be an arcade cabinet because nobody really uses them anymore. So it's kind of an old machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and then Will just dipped his pen into some magical gold and came out with that beautiful
Pope
cabinet.
Phoenix. Check him out on Instagram and all that.
Oh my god,
he's very talented,
great.
And he's such a nice guy too.
Yeah.
He is very nice.
He was
boy.
like, I'll throw something together.
Yeah,
He literally did that in like 10 minutes.
he did this, and then he was like, "Here you go." I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." The color scheme was Dave and I, though. I think.
Yeah. The purple.
I liked it.
And the font, everything else. Yeah. Once we had the cabinet, we ran away with everything else.
Every art decision is me and Dan arguing for a long time, and then Mark being like, "I like it."
It's so annoying. So like we just changed the way we do our episodes. Now it's like a lot more. It's like a screenshot of the game.
Yeah.
And there's a format, and I was workshopping it, and this is at this point. Me and Dave, I figured Dave out. Like I have to like think about it 3 more times through before even showing Dave. But I always show the chat. We have a 3-person chat, and I'm like, I'm going to show this to the chat because it's fair. But Mark's always like, it's nice. Dave's like, let's get on a Discord call and workshop this. I'm like, that's completely the opposite.
Well, that's in your skill sets. That's not. I mean, I see the art. I'm like, I don't even know how you made that. Looks pretty nice to me.
I agree with the skill sets, but I think that you should care.
I do care. I think that's great.
It's so agreeable. It's hard to
See,
tell.
then they get mad at me for not. They say like, I don't care. I'm complimenting them on their work. I think they're doing great.
All right. Well,
it's good to know the dynamic translates. I feel like I'm in the middle of a Dinosaur Machines podcast episode with the bantering and the bickering.
Matt, don't look now, but you are.
What?
Break down around him. And he's
Here we have a studio that's.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like
laundry room right now.
I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask 3 people who make at least a hobby/career out of playing games at this point with their show what their favorite game of this year was. I know it's not an easy choice because there were a lot of good things that came out, and like I was on the stream when we were watching the Game Awards together. Everybody, I think, universally being pissed that Red Dead Redemption won everything. Like they deserve some of it, but like for me, I also haven't played a lot of the stuff in the best of category. Like I didn't play Celeste, I didn't play Red Dead, I didn't play God of War, and I've heard great things about all of them. But so like for me, the standout, because it was just the most perfect experience from start to finish, was either The Messenger on the Switch. I played the Switch version, or Spider-Man for PS4. And for me, the reason it's Spider-Man for PS4 is because I've been saying to anyone who will actually listen to me ramble about it that Spider-Man for PS4 is the best Spider-Man story ever told. from comics to movies to TV shows. I just think the narrative is so cohesive and you get so invested in all the characters, and that made the game really good for me. Also,
Dan's struggling.
I have opinions on this.
Well, that's fine, but also for me, the big thing that sold Spider-Man for me is I picked it up and within 3 minutes was web slinging like a pro. Like the control, the barrier to control was so minimal. And there's so many modern AAA titles where I'm spending the first hour of the game figuring out how the fuck to play the game. Whereas like Spider-Man, there was a learning curve for the combat, but like for traversing the city and interacting with stuff, there was almost no lag time.
Yeah. So your pick is Spider-Man?
It's Spider-Man, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love The Messenger, but it can't hold a candle to the AAA title. Like, it's just different animals at this point.
Yeah, apples and oranges. No, I think I finished. I'm trying to think. I've played every one of the ones.
Game that was
I just finally finished Red Dead the other week, and that was an amazing game. But I'm still in my stamp on God of War. Like, you're absolutely right in terms of like there is always like that barrier to entry, and that was one of the most impressive things about Spider-Man. Is you're right, because the minute you start swinging, you're like, yep, this feels right. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But for me, like what I always look for with gaming is just a narrative that is going to pull me in, and the gameplay doesn't get in the way.
Yeah.
And God of War, in terms of just not only just like the visuals and just like how the combat feels, the pacing of everything, the acting, it's a game that when you kind of list all the things that a game needs to do, it's 10 and everything. Like just even how long the game is. And I think that's where Red Dead kind of fell apart for me. It's just, and it's not even, it's hard to criticize a game. There's too much.
There's too much game.
And that's how I kind of felt about like The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Great
me
game.
too. Absolutely. I agree.
There's just too much of this game. And then there's a kind of that feeling of, I'm not experience everything. I'm missing things. Like I was by the end of Red Dead, like the last 20 hours, I was texting these two, like as I was like 14 missions left, 13 missions left.
You were doing a countdown, and I was laughing the whole time.
And I feel kind of stupid about it because I did not play that game like it was intended to be played.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't have the lifestyle that I can play that kind of game. Like I just don't have 4 or 5 hours to sit at a time.
Yeah.
So like for me personally, like definitely.
And don't,
and just who doesn't sleep? And he stays up till 4:30 in the morning.
I just want to really quickly on Red Dead. Do you think GTA 3 or even GTA 4 was as obtuse or even the old Red Dead game? Like, do you think the scale of those games would work in your current life? Because I do. I don't think those games are as wide and trying to do everything. I think that's part of what made them work.
It's with GTA 5, like, that wasn't that long ago. I definitely didn't feel the same way, but I think in terms of the world, like you're in a car and you're driving around, like there was not as much downtime in GTA 5. But at the same time, that's what I think was so kind of amazing about Red Dead, is that it is because it was a slow game, and I think it really did play into how the narrative turned out. If I didn't have the time to kind of just ride my horse through this countryside, to interact with these random NPCs as I go, the beats that story took would not have felt as good as they ended up doing. And I'm actually curious, like when Dave, how far are you into it, Dave?
I'm still at the same place they stopped to play Smash Brothers.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm curious when you get to the end, because I really want to dive into that with you. I think
I'll get there.
The pace of it really does serve its story well. And it's impressive, but then at the same time, controls like butt.
It is the thing that you were saying, like that it doesn't respect your time as much. So like right now, like I've been extra busy with work, and like mentally I'm not in the right place to play Red Dead right now. But like I know when work lets up, which it will right now around the holiday season, I'll be back to playing Red Dead, and I'm gonna love every minute of it. And for me, I'm like, it's got a level of immersion that I haven't felt in a while.
See, but I also think that plays into what you're looking for at that time, because like,
no, I think at the right time.
Yeah, and like I will say definitely Red Dead I think is a better game than Spider-Man. I had a lot more fun playing Spider-Man than Red Dead, because there was never a time I picked up the controller.
That will never make sense to Dan.
No,
It's like all about gameplay. So he's like, how can you say Red Dead is better than Spider-Man when you just said it doesn't play as well?
Because when I'm, what am I now? 33?
Yeah.
It's better.
You'd be like, less fun, obviously.
when I'm 53, there's going to be 2 to 3 moments from Red Dead 2 that I remember very distinctly.
Yeah.
There's going to be nothing I remember from Spider-Man.
See, and
I have like no interest in playing Spider-Man.
See, and what's funny about that is like I would disagree. I haven't played Red Dead, admittedly, but like there are so many moments that stood out to me about Spider-Man. But I'm also a big Spider-Man fan, and we've been lacking in good Spider-Man content until this year, where like there's been more than I could possibly handle. But going back to your favorite game, Mark, before we go to the other two,
These two
guys, those guys. I am not a God of War fan. I played the first one, didn't really like it, and didn't play the others. So I just didn't. I've heard that I would love the new one because it's kind of a new point. Were you a fan of the previous God of Wars when you played the new one? Okay.
Huge fan.
Huge fan, okay.
But I do really think, because I think the biggest flaws of the old God of Wars is Kratos as a character, because he's just dumb. He's just, I'm gonna yell. And he's not likable, but those games were just awesome. Like even calling back to like Castlevania,
right?
Like Castlevania is awesome because it's kind of like this power fantasy. You constantly have this kind of trend of you're getting stronger and stronger, and that feels really great,
right?
And that's how God of War was. But then they did this beautiful thing in the new game where it is the same Kratos, and all this time has passed, and a lot of things have happened in between. And I do think, even if you didn't like the old ones and you just kind of go into this one fresh and you're kind of coming in with a clean slate for him, there's enough that happens, especially in the beginning with his relationship with his son, and you're kind of piecing together what's going on. And especially I would say within the first hour, there's like 2 moments I immediately can think of. They do in that 1 hour to make you understand, connect with Kratos than they've done in any of the other games collectively.
They made him Luke from Empire?
No, because
all this stuff happened between A New Hope and Empire.
Yeah, but like
he's awesome.
But like with that, you could like he's seen some S. Like with Kratos, it turned into, because like I don't want to really get into like the story beats,
right?
But you can tell that not only has he seen some S though, but it's fundamentally changed who he is as a person.
Got it.
And even like just having the cursory glance of it, just seeing his interactions with his son.
Right.
You can immediately see the conflict. And I actually think the trailer, that when they first had that first gameplay trailer, they did it perfectly. When his son kills that, it's like a deer-like thing. And they have this perfect moment, and it works with the music and everything, where his son kills the creature. You can see how he's really distraught about it. And Kratos kind of reaches over, because he feels like, as a father, I need to comfort for this kid. But then he just like tucks in his hand. And like, because he's fighting, he's like, no, I'm not ready to do that. And he puts his hands down, and they just keep talking.
Yeah.
And there's so many little moments like that really create a relationship that you can't help but be not invested in that. Like, you have to be.
Like, I would say that the older games didn't interest me because of essentially Kratos being a huge douchebag, essentially, like basically. A terrible person. And I would say that matters to me, and the narrative matters. But then again, I chose Devil May Cry over God of War, even though nobody asked me to. And Devil May Cry, as far as story and D-bag characters, it's got that to the end of time. So like, I can't.
Pretty fun.
It is. I'm actually.
But it's all goth and emo.
It is.
Whereas God of War is not.
Right. No, that's totally true.
Oh, my Devil Trigger.
I mean,
my Devil Trigger.
You guys joked about it, but I love Devil Trigger's performance. I really enjoyed it.
I was like, that's a
great song. I'm ready. I'm so pumped for Devil May Cry.
I could not sit there and not play Devil May Cry hearing that music. That's all.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that moment and Devil May Cry 5 is, so I recently replayed 4 to catch myself back up on the story and realize
that's like the really hard one.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter because the story is nonsense. Like, the gameplay is fun. But all right, so we've heard from Mark, Dan, or Dave. What is your favorite game of the year?
Dan's is Super Time Force Ultra.
Well, it didn't come out in 2018, did it?
It was a joke, Dan.
I was thinking about this. I don't want to say Spider-Man, but I don't remember what I played this
Spider-Man.
year. I mean, it's kind of Spider-Man. It's also sort of Super Mario Party.
I mean, that's not a bad choice. It's
only because me and Anne-Marie are playing the hell out of it.
It's not a great choice.
Mark, you know what? I thought that about you when I decided this, but I changed my mind. It was like, I have this cousin. I was like, yeah. And
he's kind of a turd sometimes.
I have a cousin too. Go on. No, I think it's going to be Super Mario Party just for the sake of conversation too. Because we do play the hell out of it. It's like a thing we do. And that I always think that's awesome when a game can. She's not somebody who plays video games. Like, she loves Animal Crossing.
Right.
She loves Nintendo's games, but we rarely just sit down and play one game repeatedly. Usually we'll play it like once, and then I'll just keep playing it. But this game, she's like, "Let's play Mario Party tonight." I'm like, "All right," and then we just started doing like the co-op 2 versus 2 maps. Like, we're gonna. I can tell we're gonna go through all the stuff. And I think that is a pretty cool achievement by Nintendo regarding Mario Party, because before this one, it was just, this is the game you play when you have your friends over.
Right.
Now it's the game that you can play with one other person. It's still pretty much a lot more fun with people, but it's awesome to me that they managed to make it a little more obtuse than a regular Mario Party release. Yeah. And I could say the same for Smash Brothers, because I'm playing that a lot more than I thought I might. I figured I'd buy that and not play it at all, but I'm going through the whole campaign for some reason, and it's fun.
And it's fun.
And I just didn't think it'd be fun. I played the old Smash Brothers stories, and it's like, this is stupid. I just want to play regular Smash Brothers. But the World of Light teaches me the game, puts stupid challenges in front of me, and it's fun. But yeah, I'll pick Mario Party.
Well, I think that's actually a really good point about the co-op nature. Like, Monster Hunter World would have been my game of the year if it kept me interested. But the problem was, once me and my friends picked the weapons we wanted to use, got the highest and best armor of those things, and like hit like the hunting cap essentially and finish the story, then it's just randomly hunting monsters for pieces of gear you may or may not want. And like, I got bored. The narrative was fun, though not super in depth, but like, once you hit the best weapons and the best armor, there's nothing to do in that game. And then my friends stopped playing it, and so then I stopped playing it. And so like, you know, I find, I don't know about you guys, but as I get older, I prefer single player to multiplayer, I think.
I love Monster Hunter World being on my menu, because we have a buddy, Venus, who he plays it, and they've always got the arch-tempered beasts and all these other ones, and whenever we talk about it, there's always a chance we'll hop in together and just try to get the higher level bosses down, and they're always limited time. But overall, just because it's hard to get a group together sometimes, I do gravitate towards single player leaning games, I guess.
Well, I think also for me, it's because I commute a lot. Like, I live in Brooklyn and work in Manhattan. So like, I play the Switch on the way to work. I play the Switch on the way home from work. And like, there's no internet underground. So like, for the most part. So like, I'm playing a lot of single player games there. And then when I get home, like, I could go on my computer and play Heroes or Overwatch, but then I'll look at my TV and go, nah, I'll play some Persona for a while and then go to bed. I also feel like playing a single player game for an hour, I feel less guilty, like just turning it off, than like getting all my friends together, playing a game for a half hour and going, all right, guys, I got to go to bed. Bye. Like, you know, that kind of thing.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Dave, where are you at with this?
I don't think that 2018 was that good of a year. I don't want to give it.
You don't have any game you want to give it to.
Wow.
This is basically why the podcast exists. Because we have to. We won't ever, but we have to.
I think Oberdin was one of the better games that came out.
All right.
I mean, Oberdin sounded really cool. Like, that's one that I didn't get to play, but your discussion was really interesting about it.
Yeah. But I'm like, if I can't say, I like the game I played the most of this year that I enjoyed the most time with was Overwatch, probably. Yeah. But that's an ongoing game.
Yeah.
I will say that my interest in it is finally waning, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll 2 years.
It'll take.
That's a long time.
They'll come out with something.
$60.
They'll come out with something. To regain my interest. I'm sure. The next season of competitive play.
So all this time with Red Dead, you don't think that's?
I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's a really good game. And like other than the story being really interesting and me being invested in Arthur, I do see a lot of gameplay flaws. So I don't want to like. There are so many times where too easily, just because of the button combination, like I take out my gun on someone and I'm like, oh
shit. Well, here we are.
It's now I'm back. Now I'm in a fight and I don't want to be. Am I going to try and quick reset? Am I going to try and get out of this?
Yeah.
You know, there's instances like that, or it's like I have 2 perfect pelts on my horse, and then some random gang jumps me, and I die, and then I lose my pelts and all my great belongings, and I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've had that.
I mean, also saying Overwatch is your game of the year, if you're playing it that much, like, so I have another gaming podcast that I do, and me and my co-host are going to talk about the year in gaming, and there are a lot of games on my list that didn't come out this year that I finally played, and they're still going to be on my top list because I played them, and I like them this year, but also I think, like, I'm jealous of people like Dave, because I wanted to like Overwatch that much.
He's so handsome.
He is handsome. But I really wanted to like Overwatch because I like Blizzard so much and I liked what it was. And like, I'm a great tank or like support, but I have a terrible aim and a terrible shot. So like playing the attack roles aren't fun for me. And so eventually the game just started to get boring for me, but I love the lore of that world. I really wish it was an action game also, or some kind of other single player story game based on it, because the characters in the world is so fascinating.
Yeah, it's funny when they have those. I thought I wanted that too, and then when they tried it and they did it for Archives,
I remember that. Yeah, where you could do like the co-op missions.
All right, it felt weird, it felt odd because you're an overpowered character.
It's not that you're an overpowered character. It's that you don't realize, and this is the experience I get whenever I jump back into Destiny, how much more interesting it is to shoot at another player than to shoot at AI.
Yeah.
Like the wizards and all those those enemy types in Destiny, they all follow predictable patterns.
Yeah.
And like, I may run into another Tracer and I may expect them to do certain things, but this Tracer player doesn't play like this Tracer player.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it keeps it interesting because of that.
Yeah. No, and I get that. I think also for me is like a lot of my group of friends were never competitive gamers or competitive players. And like I said before, I'm a terrible shot. Like any first or third person shooter where I have a health bar, I'm a happy camper because then I have a chance to live. Like that's why I never liked Call of Duty or Modern Warfare or any of those games, because it's usually 1 or 2 shots and you're dead, and I couldn't survive. But you know, at the end of the day, I'd rather play with my friends than against my friends. Because I'm not a great shot though. Like I'm sure if I were better at Twitch shooters, I would probably like competitive stuff more. It comes down to the fact that I'm not my reflexes aren't that good. And so any game where I have a little bit of a cushion is more fun for me.
Yeah, it's funny that too, because like we have this experience all the time with Overwatch. It's like we'll be playing and we're winning, and it's like, well, this is the greatest thing in the world. I can't imagine doing anything other than this. But then we have other nights where literally it's like nothing goes right. And it's like, I don't want to play this. Yeah. Those were damn plays, basically.
Before we wrap up, I did want to ask you guys about your YouTube presence as well. You're doing some streaming together. Dan is doing some streaming on his own. I know, as someone who can't get himself to stream, like, I'm curious, as gamers, what difficulties you find with gaming being your job, as far as working on a podcast, working on streaming. Because for me, like, I have 2 different video game podcasts and I try and stream, but like, I'm lucky if I stream once every 3 weeks at this point, because there's something about it feeling like work to me that makes me not want to play it. How do you make that balance between gaming for fun and gaming for, finger quotes, work?
So I'm gonna leave this one for a second here.
Yeah, you should, Dan.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'll talk about the scope for me and Mark and Dave first. We were doing the YouTube channel for a while, a long time. We have a lot of stuff yet to release. That's on me. Yeah. Sorry, guys. But what wound up happening during those sessions is that we were having fun playing the game, but we eventually just wanted to go back to playing, because between the podcast and doing the YouTube channel, at that point, we weren't really finding time outside of random times that Overwatch happened to play together for fun.
For fun, right.
Yeah, with each other. Like, without any worry of like, oh, when we release this, we have to cut this bit because this is not appropriate. Mark is a teacher. He has to he has to be careful with what he puts out there.
Of course.
You know?
Thanks, guys.
But I mean, I like your profession as in scope to the podcast because it makes me curse less, which I think is fun to try. But so we eventually decided, all right, let's just stop doing the YouTube stuff because we value our friendships more. And we do the podcast. Let's just focus on that, grow it. Good. As for streaming, I've learned, I'm getting back into it now. I took like 2 months off. I was basically done because of like an awkward situation that happened. And I also realized I was kind of burned out. I was just kind of doing it because it felt like I should. But,
and you were pretty consistent. You were like streaming like 3 times a week.
Yeah. I'm going to probably go back to like 2 tops. But like, I'm not even going to do, I was thinking doing 1, but I think 2 is a good number, 2 times a week, but I don't think the days are going to be the same every week. But yeah, you're right. I was consistent. I would stream for like 5 hours, sometimes 6. I did a 12-hour stream once. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And, eventually it was like, I just fell off. My body said no. And my mind was coming up with excuses. And after that, now I'm realizing I just have to have games I can stream and games I don't stream. Like Zelda is for me.
Yeah.
No one's going to watch me play Breath of the Wild. I don't care. But Dark Souls, yeah, I'll stream that because I won't play that alone. So ultimately, the games I would stream made the difference. And then also my time management's getting better because now I use calendar invites to like, tonight you're going to brainstorm Nerd Pundit posts. Tomorrow you're going to record a Hit Buttons video. And that's also helpful.
Do you find choosing indie games made it easier for you to also kind of manage your time with games? Because the indie games required less of you than like the AAA titles as far as splitting fun and work.
That's kind of, I don't know, because some of the games are long.
I think most of the times it's come down to more of indies are more likely to do something out of the norm.
Okay.
And I, as the curmudgeon, I've been pretty bored with what the AAA market puts out there. Like,
okay, that's fair.
Like, I'm not interested in playing Spider-Man. I don't have any interest in God of War. I think I'm with you on the previous series. I'm like, I just thought they were overly violent to fill in some fun factor.
Right.
Like I
just the guy to rip them apart. And it's like,
yeah, I'm like, I got those kicks out of me playing Mortal Kombat as a prepubescent teen. I don't need to do it now.
Oh, snap.
You know?
Oh, snap. Well, no, but I totally get that. I think that for me, the reason Spider-Man is my game of the year is because I'm a Spider-Man fan first.
Yeah, I mean,
and
you saying that it's one of the better stories is giving me some interest in it.
Yeah, no, it's even though like I put that like third in my year, I think that story was good. Yeah. It was enjoyable.
It was definitely good.
It from what I've seen visually, I don't think it's going to give me anything that the Arkham series and or Infamous didn't, and I like those games, and I just I don't. A lot of what I saw from the early trailers and E3 looked like very on rails movements for Spider-Man, and I was like, I don't want to hold forward and feel like my character's doing a lot of stuff that I'm not. Yeah,
that's not the case. You control. You have an immense amount of control over your character, but I get that. I think that also ultimately, if you don't give a crap about the source material or the gameplay doesn't interest you, like at this point, why are you going to play the game? I've bought games because I've been told they're great games, even though I was unsure, and then often regretted it. I bought Bayonetta, which you'd think I liked because I like Devil May Cry, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get into it.
It just doesn't click.
And like, I think part of it is that it's really difficult, and I put it on a regular difficulty, and so I struggled a bit. But I think also, you know, buying games because other people say they're really good, if you have doubts, you have doubts for a reason. And those games are worth trying if you can do it for free. But I think, like, I have a lot of buyer's remorse. I bought Xenoblade Chronicles this year for the Switch because I love RPGs. And I played it for an hour, and I haven't touched it since. And maybe I'll go back to it because it's on my Switch. I bought the digital version, but like I really regret buying that $60 game because I could have bought any of the other 10 games on my wish list that I probably would have enjoyed more. You know?
Yeah.
And I think
somebody told you it was good.
Somebody told me it was good. At least it wasn't those three assholes on that podcast. It wasn't those guys.
That's right.
Boom.
That's you'll just buy Persona and Spider-Man if you listen to us.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me a little bit before we wrap up about what the future of Dinosaur Machines holds? Like what kind of stuff you guys have planned for upcoming episodes, upcoming seasons?
Dinosaur Machines Corporation doesn't like to disclose future plans to...
Well, I'll say we're definitely trying to. I think we mentioned we're trying to venture out to different genres. Like we do have one multiplayer game coming up that I think is going to go over like a huge dud, but that's we're going to see how that goes.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, I think we're exploring a little bit more with the Tastemaker. I think, but really, I think for the most part, I think we're happy with what we put out. This is, I think. Not to get a little off topic here, but I was actually, as I was walking the dog earlier in the freezing cold, I was just thinking about the amount of friends I had in my life who I don't talk to anymore.
Right.
And thinking about what really is making that happen. And I think it's kind of idea. It's I'm not making new memories with those people. Right. It's when we see each other, it's hey, checking in, how's the things going? But with Dave and Dan, this podcast is this kind of, I'm sure we would all played games. If we weren't doing the podcast, we would have been playing games together. We would have had those things. But because we kind of have this thing we're doing together, this project.
Like the movie Tag.
Yeah. And it's creating these kind of things between us and these conversations that we have that we don't expect. And so I think, as words, that's the biggest thing we're going to keep going. It's just really, it's three guys who like video games. We're going to like some of them. We're going to dislike some of them, but it's just, the conversations between us. Yeah.
I think my favorite Dinosaur Machines episodes are the ones we don't record when we're doing something like playing Mario Party or those are because I get in my head for a second. I'm we should probably turn on a mic. I'm no. Yeah. This is our sacred bro time.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of what the podcast is. It's just when the three of us are together, it is Dinosaur Machines time.
I like to think of it as a self-documenting point of our life too.
Yeah, sure.
When we look back, who knows? Our kids may pick this up, listen to it, and be our dads are dumb.
Yeah. We talk about our personal life on it, and I love that because it makes us real to a listener, but it also, that's usually when we catch up on our personal lives, and then when the podcast is, you want to play some Overwatch? I guess. And then that's the end of the night. And, yeah.
Well, I think also for me, obviously my entrance point to the podcast was my friend Dan was on a podcast. But now having listened for as long as I have, like I said to Mark earlier before you got on, Dave, I feel like I know you, all three of you, because even though we've interacted on the internet and stuff, because I'm in these fairly personal conversations as well as the game stuff, I just feel like I know you guys, which I think is kind of cool. And I enjoy getting that out of a podcast I listen to.
Yeah, we try and be authentic. We're not trying to hide who we are.
This is very awesome.
The most future thing I guess I can think about is I've been sneaking Mark and Dave onto my stream. Because I want to make them part of my whatever I grow on Twitch. Whatever I do, I always want to bring it back to our effort.
Yeah.
And part of that to me is making their voices come out of more than just the podcast. But after the YouTube experience, I've learned that we definitely have to focus on the podcast, and then everything else will just.
I think it's also fun. And we talk about this a lot. It's the question of just what is the thing we're providing? What is the value to it? And I think with the podcast, but there's always us because that is the one thing nobody else can provide. It's the three of us, our banter. But I also think with the YouTube channel, like we were saying earlier, it did become kind of let's just kind of be us again, and not that we weren't, but I don't.
But you started making choices about with the games that you select, because this will create certain funny, things, or they're supposed to be making a Resident Evil remake. Let's play the original Resident Evil so we can reflect back at how bad it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also something for me as a listener that is personally infuriating is listening to the Trivial Tastemaker and not being able to participate. Because, like, especially for me, like, Dan knows I'm also a diehard Mega Man fan. And so, like, when Dan was listing the Robot Masters, like,
Egyptman.
I was, when you got to Egypt, man, I'm yelling at my iPhone, Dan, it's Pharaoh Man. What is wrong? Like,
hey, look, after you go that deep,
he got 38 out of 89.
He did. It's true.
I have the index card right here.
But what's funny to me about the Tastemaker is I love gaming trivia. Nice. I love gaming trivia, and so it's fun to play along for the stuff I may know, and I'm always surprised at what I do and don't know as well.
Yeah, we also figure that out as we're doing them. It's like, oh, I really thought I knew more about this.
Yeah, I think I've really pushed the envelope when I made them try to guess Kane from the Legacy of Kane series because
you lied to us.
I lied to them accidentally because it was a little obscure, and that's probably a very good.
Well, it's continuing the bit where Mark never wins that game. It's just never gonna happen. I just have to like make you guys do that, and that way I can't lose.
I was actually gonna ask you guys about this off this, but I might as well do it now. You guys think we should make a Paperboy T-shirt?
No.
As well. I think we should.
Paperboy.
I will say my favorite Tastemaker though was the one I think Dan had come up with it with the games and dates where you had to like create a timeline. Was that Dan?
No, that was Mark.
That was Mark. That was
I got
Mark.
the box here.
Yeah.
We're ready to go.
That I thought was really brilliant because that's the kind of game like if you guys ever did the podcast at a convention or something, like that's something you could rope the audience in with and let them play because it's just
thank you, Matt.
I think
that's I want to do that.
It's also like asking questions is original enough, but that's a game I'd never heard of. Like Timeline is a thing that people have played, but doing it with games and guessing the years they came out, which I have no idea what year games came out. Like I just don't retain that information.
I'm like, I remember when I played it.
Right.
Yeah.
You weren't looking at a calendar, you're looking at the screen. What are you doing?
I was listening to this album when it came out.
You guys know that game Bug 2 on Sega Saturn?
I do. I'm familiar.
No? Yeah, so I was listening to Tragic Kingdom, and I've never actually heard Bug 2's soundtrack. So whenever I think of Bug 2, I just don't hear the
You think
game.
of that album. That's fair.
I'm like, oh, it's time to listen to Tragic Kingdom, I guess.
Well,
I always associate SSX with Weezer's Blue Album because I like rediscovered that album while playing SSX.
Was it in there?
No, it's not in there.
It's not in there, no.
Finally.
Guys, this has been a blast. Seriously, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us. This was fun.
This is fun. We talked.
I know. Like, I actually got to talk to Dan. You know,
right.
like, I had to have him. Like, this is going to be fodder for my other podcaster friends, though, because they make a joke that A, I have 1,000 podcasts, and B, the only way to talk to me is if you're on my podcast. And that's becoming more true.
You go to your closet of microphones, you just slide your phone. It's like, let's catch up.
But no, this has really been a blast. Like I said, sincerely, I've been a fan since episode 1, and I love what you guys are doing.
Thanks.
And I hope that you guys being guests, even if it gets you 5 new listeners, 1 new listener, like I really want more people to invest in your show because I think it's really great. And you have a conversation that I feel like a lot of gamers are having, but maybe not
behind closed doors,
right? Or maybe with not a lot of people. Like I don't feel like I have enough peers that I can talk to about gaming as openly as you guys talk about it, because you don't just talk about if a game's good or bad. In fact, in a lot of the episodes, that's not that important. What's more important is talking about the game. Like, you know, if I had $1 for every time Dave said this thing was terrible or I hated that, you know, I'd be rich. But at the end of the day, it's not like that's not what Dave's description is. If Dave says he doesn't like something, then he goes, but here are all the reasons why. I didn't like this. I hated this moment. I didn't enjoy this. You know, or when you like games as well. And I think that's really interesting. You know, it's less about good or bad and ratings and more about the experience of playing the game in the first place.
Totally.
That's what we want to share.
Yeah.
So normally I have, and I don't know how well this will work over the internet because I've tried it before. I have a saying on this show, which is music is life and life is good. This idea that if you're making good art, then you'll have a good life. Or if you're enjoying good art, you'll have a good life. I've had multiple people try and say it at the same time from separate places, and I don't know if that'll work.
I got an idea.
What's that?
What if we go like
In order?
say parts of it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't?
How many words are there?
Music is life.
Music is life, and
I'm gonna say
good.
and.
There you go.
There's seven.
So no, yeah, but that's a good idea. I like this. Dan will say music is life. Dave will say and then Mark will say life is good.
Because Dave's the glue. Oh my gosh.
There it is.
Done. So guys, this has been a pleasure. Dinosaur Machines, please sign off the podcast.
Should we shout ourselves?
Yeah.
I forgot how to
Nice shot, Dan.
Music is life.
And
life is good.
That's it for this episode of Crash Chords Autographs. Our theme music is by Michael Kill. Our logo was designed by Case Aiken and Joey Amons. If you liked the show, please rate and review us on iTunes and Facebook. You'll help us reach more listeners. Questions, comments, or guest recommendations? Email matt.storm@crashchords.com or hit us up on Twitter @CrashChordsWeb. Thanks for listening.
Hi, this is Victor Devon, and I am the host of We Burlesque, the podcast. Every Monday, I talk to fabulous denizens of nightlife, including burlesque performers, both seasoned and new to the form, drag performers, performance artists, DJs, and artists who make up their respective scenes. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Please visit WeBurlesque.com to check out episode recaps and see all the formats available. And remember that music is life. Life is good.